Hi, I'm Asta, and this critical analysis is on Firewatch. This adventure game was released in 2016 by Campo Santo. Ollie Moss was one of the main artists that designed the game. It's played in first person from the perspective of Henry, who recently got a job as a fire lookout in a forest in Wyoming. Firewatch can be classified as a work of art when analyzed through the MDA framework, the following game theories, and most importantly, how it lines up with Dutton's aesthetic universals. First, let's talk about the game's narrative. The game takes place near a forest watchtower and it highlights the solitude the player has, as the only NPC they consistently talk to can only be communicated with through radio. It starts off with a brief description of the protagonist, Henry, and how his wife getting dementia led to him taking up the Firewatch job. The player is guided through the game with the help of Delilah, who guides him through his handheld radio, and the relationship between these two characters grows throughout the game. We see an embedded narrative as the player comes across items that reveal the linear storyline in the game. The gameplay consists of exploring the forest using a map while completing missions, and the mechanics allow the player to interact with objects and inspect surroundings freely. The dynamics of the game are designed to build the player's relationship with Delilah, as they get to choose dialogue and it has consequences that appear as symbols indicating her reaction, as well as the follow-up result of her being inactive from the radio for some time when she gets offended. The storyline is vital to the aesthetics in the game, as it evokes emotional responses in the player through the dialogue between Henry and Delilah. The game puts players into the idea of Huizinga's magic circle, as the players become immersed in the story and feel an attachment to the characters. For instance, when they ask questions that Delilah takes offense to, they can feel the impact that it has on their friendship with her in the game. The back and forth of witty dialogue between these two characters is used to once again emphasize the solitude that Henry now has at his post, as his main connection to the outside world is the girl on the other end of the radio. Reception theory plays a key role on the narrative's impact. When the player finds letters in supply boxes and clues about the few people near the area, the story they piece together depends on the player's interpretation of the text. For example, when they find letters between the previous rangers in supply boxes, it is up to them to connect the letters to the mementos and supplies in the boxes, as well as connecting the clues to information that Delilah has given them at that stage in the game. According to Dutton's aesthetic universals, Firewatch can be defined as art. The game setting is in a Wyoming forest. This illustrates the expertise in terms of creating the stunning environment shown in the game. Imitation is the second universal, that's portrayed as the game takes place in Shoshone National Forest, so the environment was based off of the actual place, and the designers closely recreated the setting based on real life. Lastly, the non-utilitarian pleasure the game creates through artistic aspects, like the lookout points in the game that are often emphasized as the player can watch and take in the detailed scenery, line up with the aesthetic universals. The user experience that this game creates for players through the aesthetics and theories at play, combined with the list of aspects that line it up with Dutton's universals, allow it to be classified as art. Overall, the storyline and beautiful scenery make it a game worth experiencing. Thank you for listening.